Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Parnassus training for Ofqual, QualWales, CEA, and Customised Qualifications. My name is Tom, and I'm part of the IT team here at Ascentis. Now, this morning, we're really excited to show you what we've been working on for the past couple of years, and that is Parnassus. Now, complying with the comms which we've already sent out, this will be replacing QuartzWeb in January 2024. Been looking at the process for many years, and we've been trying to streamline how it works, how our awarding and qual systems work, and we've designed this system just to make the whole process simpler. So this morning, for the next 30 minutes, we're going to be running through the awarding and registration journey, but I will be running through at a top level a couple of other areas that may look different than they did in QuartzWeb. So now I'm just going to jump into Parnassus. Here's a new login page for Parnassus. This will what you'll be going to instead of QuartzWeb. Couple of things. When Parnassus rolls out in January, all the existing contacts, active contacts within QuartzWeb will be carried over by us in-house. So you don't have to worry about setting up new users. Anyone who's currently active in QuartzWeb will get an active account for Parnassus when it goes live. So this is the first page, and I'm just going to log on with a demo account we've set up just so we can log in. So here we can see the landing page for Parnassus. Looks a bit different than what you saw in QuartzWeb, but it's a lot simpler and a lot more straightforward, and it's just more efficient in general. So like I said earlier, this session is focusing more on the registrations and grading. But before we get stuck in, I just want to take you around a couple of headings and a couple of areas in Parnassus. Don't worry if you feel like we're going too fast in this session. The main focus will be registrations, and we will have a full handbook and further sessions in the future to go through any areas which you feel like we've not covered. And any questions you do have, we'll have a questionnaire form at the end. In case you think we've missed something, we'll answer that for you. So the first thing I'm going to look at the top here, here's the headings, this is what you'll be coming to most often, is centres. So this account has been set up with Loon Valley College, which is just our in-house demo/testing centre. There's no live data on here. It's all just for testing and for demo purposes. As you expect, this is the overall, the overview of the centre and what you can see. You can see the centre code, if it's approved, different like the renewal dates, all the different main address, different details you'd expect to find on the centre page. Now, a bit further down, the sites. Now, this is something that has been changed in Parnassus. Not necessarily how you use them, but the way provisions work now, instead of being centre-wide, provisions are now site-wide. So this is better because if you have 10 sites with all the same provisions, it's not really customizable, is it? So now, because every site can have its own provisions, say, for example, we had one site and you wanted to have that as an access provision, you can do that. Your second site could be Ofqual provision. So it just allows a lot more customization, customability, and really sets them apart. And if any centers go through mergers or anything like that, when the centers merge, those can keep their own provisions and it doesn't just merge them all into one big center. So this way, it just keeps everything clearer and just more customizable. So that's just a quick look at the centers tab. Now on the top, the next one across is learners. So here, this just shows us all of the registered learners on the center. These aren't classes, this is just a whole, this is every learner. And we're going to just pick one at random, good old Wendy Slater, so I'll click here. Again, these are all randomized names. This is just a demo center. So this is the overview for the learner, and you can see a couple of details at first glance with some different tabs here where you can fill in to make it more customized and really get some detailed information in. You can see any learning disabilities or any learning assistances they may needed at just a click of a button. Registrations, you can see what they're currently registered to. Cohorts, this is, so I will be going into this more detail later on, but one of the main changes we've gone with Parnassus is renaming classes to cohorts. We just found like classes, it's not always a class of students sitting in a room. It's not always one group. It's more of a batch or like a cohort, so to speak, a group of learners coming together to do a qualification. So we believe that renaming it to cohort just describes it a bit better. So we've gone with that for now. And then certificates, like I said, it's just what you'd expect here. It's just a quick overview of learners. And then reporting. So this is where you'd find your reports. This is something which we're still working on, which will be ready for go live, and we'll be adding them over the future. This is something which we'll be really working on, investing time in to really make some customized reports. Centres who feel that they have an idea for a report which could help other centres and really simplifies process, by all means, in the future, they can be suggested and we can build them in-house. The major upgrade for Parnassus is we can actually build them in-house. We've got first dibs on these. We can really go to town on these reports and make them sort of really efficient for everybody. So without further ado, we'll click on cohorts. Again, cohorts replaces classes, and on the landing page of the cohorts tab, you can see all the previous cohorts here. We can see that there's different headings at the top of the, so we've got status site, qualification code title, facilitators created on, number of regs. It just goes an overview of every live cohort. There is a tick button here if you want to see classes, so cohorts that may have closed. Currently, it's only showing live, but if you ever wanted to see a closed cohort, you unclick this and then you can see them all. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be creating a cohort. So again, clicking on cohort, this is the landing page. We click add cohort. So I'm going to click the main site. And we're just going to put in a qualification ID. 1 second. I'm just getting the qual ID now, won't be a second. So it's 2831. 2831. There we are. Level 101 skills and employment. So the cohort title, you can name it whatever you want to. So for this session, I'm just going to be putting Friday morning session. Now, you can see here, there's a couple more details we can change. We can add a tutor if you want to assign a tutor to the cohorts directly. Start and end date, very important, because this one has to be created in the future. So you can't have an end date which is in the past because then it won't go through. Same as in QualWales. So for here, I'm just going to put a start date from this week, Sunday to the 18th. A couple of additional attributes you can enter. You can add max registrations, number of resources you want onto the cohort. Just be careful when you're putting in max registrations. If you want to add further learners in the future to the existing cohort, it will abide by what you set here. Estimated attendees, again, these are just for your reference, and purchase order. Now, this is a change which wasn't present in QualWales. If you try to save the class without entering anything in the purchase order, it won't let you do it. So I'll just put something in for now, but when it goes live, the purchase order will be needed when creating the classes, the cohorts. Right, so I'm going to save this now. So now we can see we have our cohort. There's no learners in it yet. It's just a cohort with a qual. And the next step we need to do is actually upload a registration file. So I'll just switch over to that screen now. So as you can see here, and just a note, all these files, any files which we use, which in this demonstration, they will be sent to you either as part of a welcome pack or they'll be available online. So don't worry about not having a form. You don't have to create your own templates. We'll be creating them for you and getting them to you before go live day. But just looking at this now, we can see this is our registration form. First name, surname, date of birth, gender, So these are all typical things you'd find. Now, we have highlighted a couple of them just to show you some of the errors that you might run into. Again, if you're doing lots and lots of learners, it's very easy to run into a mistake. So you may notice here, highlighted in red, that this one doesn't quite match the units. It's got an extra digit. So we'll see how that interacts with Parnassus when we upload it. And then this bottom learner here, Louise Carter, this one is actually a duplicate, which we'll come on to again later. So we'll see, we just made a couple of red highlights here. So now I'm going to upload this file into Parnassus, and then we'll look at what happens next. So we just created the cohort class. It is a habit saying class and cohort. I've been saying it for years, but yeah, cohort is the new one. So we'll be doing a registration upload on the cohort. This brings up a new page. So you're prompted at the beginning to choose a file. So now I will be choosing that file we just looked at. So you click on choose file. Click on your registration form. So I've now uploaded this Excel file. I'm going to give it a name. And I'm going to import it. So now we can see, if you've noticed, there's 3 tiers here. There's current file list, files in processing, and files processed. So we've just uploaded it. So it's not quite in the cohort yet. We still need to validate it to make sure. All we've done now is we've uploaded these learners. So now we need to validate it to make sure that these learners all have the correct information and can be registered properly without creating any issues down the line as far as different informational errors. So now we can select this. So as you can see, nice and green, that's what we want. So it almost uses a traffic light system. We can see there's a green background on these learners. So green means, yeah, Parnassus is really happy with it. It's ready to accept these learners. Yellow means there's something which needs to be looked at. It will still accept them, but there is still information which needs to be just double checked to make sure it's okay. And red is something which is flagged up. In the current state, it won't be uploaded to the cohort. And if you go to the bottom left here, we can see the total registrations was 18, with 7 valid and 1 invalid. So because we have more valid than invalid, we can hide the valid to just see the problem. So here we can see this has got a red, highlighted red on the back. Click on the error report and it gives you an error message. So this tells you why it's red. So this is good. You don't have to try and guess what the error is. It tells you black and white. Here's the problem. So does not contain the ID. Group code required. The unit is multiple groups, and the unit code does not exist. So in this instance, what we could do is we could go back to the registration file and make amendments. That's the cleanest way to make amendments at the beginning of the process rather than midway. We can make it in Parnassus as well, but doing it from the beginning is sometimes easier. But for the sake of this demonstration, we're just going to delete this entry here. Now untick this. So now we can see all 17 entries, they're all valid. This is ready to go and be uploaded into the cohort. Just a note I will make, an error which may appear are duplicates. And if any of these were to be duplicates, they have a little icon here. It looks like a little guy. Oh, here we go. There is one here at the bottom. So we can see this learner here, Louise Carter. So we see this little icon here, potential duplicate found at the center. Now, as you can see, in this current state, it will go through. It's green. But because there's a little icon, we can click it. And what it's saying here is this contact has already been found. Do you want to create a new learner? Or do you want to use the current learner that is already in the system? So in this case, I'm going to click use, because in this situation, this learner will be doing more than one. So I'm just going to click here, use. Come here. So we have done these manually. So what I will say is, if you do have many learners registered on different quals, you may have a lot more duplicates than what I've just showed you. Now, don't worry, you won't have to click the duplicate button for every user. The easiest way to do it would be in your registration file, there is a heading for the learner ID. If you put the learner ID in there for the current learner, that will bypass this duplicate system. So you don't have to click here manually. It will just assume that you're talking about the learner that's already been registered, and that will go through as normal. So these are just throwing up red now. So we can see this is already registered in the past for this class. I'm just going to remove these. So go back to page 1. So we're all happy now. The learners have been uploaded. Everyone's green. The next step is the button at the top here, revalidate and import. We'll click this button, and this now pushes them into the cohort. So just something to mention as well. If you have an active current cohort, and we've just gone through the process I've gone through here, we've uploaded it, created, added registrations. You can come back to it at a later stage and add more. It's not locked off to one upload. You can upload more learners as long as it abides by the max registrations if you have set that. But if there's no max registrations, you can come back later on, do the process again, and add more. Just click on registration upload again, and we can add more learners at a later date. So now this is within the cohort we've just created. So I'm going to click learners. And we can see these are the learners that we've just entered. So they're all in here nice now. Just a note as well, when you are filling out your registration form, once you've created your cohort with the qual ID and you aren't sure where to find the units, in the cohort home, after you've entered the qual ID and created your cohort, clicking on units at the top, this will show you a list of all the units for that qual. So this is an easy way to find it in Parnassus. It makes it a bit simpler, so you can find all the units you need and then you can add them to the learner as needed. So now this class has been set up with learners. It's got a qual ID, got the correct units. So now we want to enter some achievements. So within the class page, we can click Add Achievement. So here, this is another landing page, just showing a bit of an overview of the cohort we just made, just making sure it's the correct one. It fills everything out for you. You can decide if you want to award all units or pick a unit manually. But for this demonstration, we're just going to do all units. Here as well, you can choose a default grade. So if we were to select achieved, then all the learners selected will be defaultly graded achieved. And vice versa. If you click not achieved, all learners selected will pick to not achieved. So for this one, I'm going to pick achieved. And now we're going to select the learners which you want to apply this rule to. So as you can see here, these are all the learners that we just uploaded with the reg file. You can choose 1 or 2 or 3, or what I'm going to do, I'm going to click this box at the top and it selects them all. So the rule we just decided on the previous page is now going to be applied to all these learners. So we're going to enter the grades. And as you see here, Here are the achieved grades for the units for each learner. So William Green's got 3 grades for his 3 units. If you have more achieved than unachieved or vice versa, and you select the default to grade them easier, you can go into the grade drop down here and change them manually as well. So you can edit anything that you've done in the past screen, you can edit it here, just like this. Really, really easy. And then at the bottom, there is an option here to add results for units not included in the above. So you can add them here as well directly. But it's always best to do using the registration file. As we can see here, nice and clear. One of the last steps we need to do is give this a name. And save and create input file. So now here we can see. So the next step here is to validate and send. This will be the final step from entering the grades before they get validated. And this button's at the top. And as we can see here, everything's green. Just a note, if you are going to be validating and sending, you just need to make sure we are the correct IQA or chosen person at your center to do this. So let's click this. Yep, so now this cohort is originally it was in the first tier here. Now it's in the second tier, files in processing. So that's it now. This is where it hands over to us, and we will validate it, make sure everything's right. And then when we're happy with our checks, this file here, we can see it will move down to files processed. When it's in files processed, we know that everything's good. It's all been processed and it's ready to go to be awarded via hard copy or e-certificate. Both will still be supplied. Both e-certificate and hard copy certificates will be supplied. What I will say is it will rely on what you get now, but both are available. So if you currently have a setup where you get both a hard copy and an e-copy, that's what you'll get going forward as well. So that's it for the cohorts tab. Certificates here is where you would find your e-certificates. Won't go too much into this, but this is where they live. Look again at the top, very simple, very straightforward. We've looked at the cohorts. Documents. I'll go over this quickly because we've finished the registration portion, the awarding. This is something new as well. This is going to be something we're working on a lot more, adding more custom documents for the centres. This is a good place for centres to keep their own documents as well. Again, this will be ready for go live, but just for now, there's three files here, but this is going to be something we really expand on. We're going to put a lot of time into it in the future. And going over quickly, any super users that are going to be using this as well, they'll be going into Center Admin and User Manager. This is where they'll be able to add the contacts. Again, a lot of this information, don't worry about picking it all up now. Today's demo was just about registrations. We'll be going into more detail with future training sessions, training videos. We're going to have the handbook, which will explain every button, every function, step by step. So don't worry about if we don't go over everything today. This is just an introduction. We want to show you what we've been working on because we're really excited about getting this out because it's just really going to speed things up and be more effective for the awarding and the achievement system. But yeah, I think that's everything really we've gone through. Like I said, if you've got any questions that you want answering, or if you've not had a chance to put them in the chat, we'll be having a Q&A form sent out, which you'll be able to fill in. But yeah, I think that's everything from me. You may see me in more future sessions or doing some videos, but yeah, everyone have a good day.